y'all think I'm rooting a little hard for TCU?
I mean, fanboy. I mean, did TCU pay for us for this?
Oh, they made the tournament for the first time in program history. TCU is on their third year in a row to make the tournament. So 3 years in a row, first time they've done that.
They would was it 8, 9 seed?
Something like that, right?
Yeah, 9 seed. Yep.
Yeah. Yo, no, yeah, they're nine seed. They're in the 8-9 game. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Sports Page. I am Dan Boyer, aka Neon Super Shrimp, and I am super excited about this time. I love this time of year, man. March Madness kicks off, followed up by Major League Baseball next week, and you follow that up with NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs. So I'm super excited to share the whole thing with everybody. Plus, all of my Sports Page Peak One tribe. So let's get these guys in here. Joining me as always, Ashton Nix, Chris Robb, and my buddy Ross Bates here for the second week in a row. All right, how's everybody doing? Ashton, I see you over there trying to rep the Duke and everything. Y'all ready for some March Madness?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to watch Kansas take all y'all down.
I mean, I got some fun facts that will ruin your day, Ross. Like,
Yeah, I was about
Ross,
to say,
there's no way Kansas is going to take Duke down. Don't worry.
Yeah,
because Duke won't make it far enough to play Kansas. So
we'll see. We'll see.
I think it would have to be the Final Four, I believe. I don't know. I don't know if they're on the same side of the bracket.
I mean, it's going to be fun. And I mean, honestly, if March Madness is anything like it was last year, what a crazy bracket it was last year. I think last year actually had the most upsets or something in a long time.
Yeah,
I know on average it's like 13 or 14 upsets per bracket, and that one had like closer to 20 or something, 17, 18.
Y'all ever fill out a bracket and think, man, this I need more upsets? It just doesn't make it. There's no way it's going to go this well.
Yeah, that's how I feel mine out. That's definitely how
I feel like I'm like I didn't pick enough upsets. Like
my rule of thumb is like you have to always at least pick 112 over 5, because I think I heard somewhere that every single year there's at least 112 beating a 5.
Yeah, that's the closest matchup, I think. Yeah.
You know what is a big upset, at least for me this year, is that you guys said you were going to wear ties tonight.
And I even asked, I was going to, but then Dan said he was wearing TCU, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could just wear my Duke shirt.
Man, yeah. I'm just saying, like, I'm not about to enforce any type of dress code here, and like, if you're comfortable in a suit and tie and you want to be here, repping that set, you do it, man.
Are you wearing dress pants?
I'm gonna wear this still? If I'm being completely honest, the first couple of weeks that I was actually on this show, Chris and Ashton were both wearing polos, like for a couple of weeks in a row. I was showing up.
That wasn't planned.
T-shirts.
Yeah, it wasn't even.
But I remember feeling like I was like, oh man, like I don't know if I'm like super like dressed for this. But then I remember my entire background here, and I'm not about to take myself too seriously. So I just want everybody to be comfortable and have fun and wear whatever makes you feel comfortable and ready to talk about all the good stuff. But before we really get into it, we get really carried away, man. We've been going for a minute already. Ross, you want to give a shout out to our favorite sponsor?
Oh, absolutely. And also, I'll have you know that this is all off memory. Given my technical issues, I don't have it available. So, you don't want to bet with your gut. That's what I know. Betalytics is awesome at helping you take the right picks, giving you all the information that you need so that you don't end up, in that position that maybe you're trusting yourself, you're trusting, whatever different habits you have of trying to make picks. Betalytics will really set you straight on that. So definitely visit betalytics.com. Enter Peak One Sports as your promo code. You'll get 25% discount. Peak One? Well, I think I did okay.
No, you got it, man. It's fine. Yeah. Betalytics, Peak One, receive 25% off. Nailed it, Ross. We love you for it.
Dude. I'm here for it.
Chris, you gonna hit that sponsor for me next week?
Oh, that's a lot of pressure, man. I don't even.
No dress code.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. Yeah, no, I think I can get it. I think I can do it though.
All right. Well, I think we got a pretty good show. We got plenty to kind of talk about, even though it's all pretty much just March Madness. But honestly, one of the first things I really wanted to talk about, I started the whole show off with it and everything. Man, I don't know about you guys. I love this time of year, right? I'm not like a huge college basketball guy. I feel like I'm not tracking it like super closely all the time. I'm definitely kind of, I get updates on my phone about like the Longhorns or the Horned Frogs, and that kind of thing. Or like if there's a big upset, I get something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, things going on in college basketball. That's cool. But man, once March Madness comes, like I was saying, it's March Madness. It's Major League Baseball kicks off opening day. Then you got NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs right after that. So it's just a really fun, like exciting time. And as much as I don't necessarily keep up with like the NBA for the whole season or the NHL for the whole season, when the playoffs come, like I become like a diehard fan. I start paying more attention. And I'm honestly just kind of curious. Am I the only one? Does anybody else like do this too? Like,
Oh no, 100%. Like
are we fair weather fans? Does this make us?
No way. No, it's a known fact that playoff sports is always better than the regular sports. Like I won't even watch hockey on TV unless it's playoffs. So
I'm one of those. Yeah.
Some of the best games I've ever seen, hockey games ever, were playoffs from a couple of years ago. Like watching the San Jose Sharks. Joe Pavelski before he went to Dallas. Went off in the playoffs playing for the Sharks, and it was nuts to watch. I think they scored 4 goals in like 3 minutes or something.
I remember that game.
Go Frogs!
And it doesn't matter if it's a Tempur-Pedic tournament, right? Like we talked about a while back, or if it's basketball or football. The players know it's more important, and so they play harder. I mean, that's just a fact.
Yeah, I think that's how I've been like for the NBA this year. I feel like there's probably the least amount of games I've watched as far as like within the NBA, but I know the playoffs, whenever the playoffs comes, I'm going to be locked in. Same way with with college basketball. I've watched maybe 15 games total, probably like the whole season for college basketball. So like this is, like you said, Dan, this is like the best time of year. It reminds me of like October when football, like college football, NFL is kicking off, NBA is kicking off. I love this time of year. It's good for sports betting too. So.
Yeah, I think it's really funny because it's literally a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, this is the worst time of year. It's like the Super Bowl ends, and there's just this kind of dry period of, and I mean, it's not that there aren't sports, right? Because like basketball, the NBA is playing, there's hockey. But I mean, I feel like we're all kind of on the same page here a little bit. Honestly, it's almost the same way I feel about like the Olympics. I'm not necessarily keeping up with like track and field or swimming and stuff like that. But when I'm watching the Olympics, man, I'm watching the best people in the world compete at like what they are best at, and it just makes for like such high level competition that it's not entertaining. Like there's no way it can't be entertaining, So I guess that's probably the same way I feel about watching playoff stuff. And I mean, I've seen some really exciting like baseball games mid-season. Same thing with like a mid-season football game or whatever, but like Ross said too, like there's just more at stake when you're in the playoffs. It's kind of that win or go home type situation and everything. So I'm glad to know that like I'm just not like the only one.
There's just too many sports to expect everybody to keep up with to like a religious standpoint. I think. I mean, I follow NBA and NFL, and for the most part, baseball too, especially since the Rangers just won the World Series.
Yeah,
I keep an eye on hockey.
Go Rangers!
If I go Rangers. If I catch a Stars game on, I mean, I have the alerts on my phone to remind me when they're playing, and if it's on national TV or a local channel, because I know with Bally's, there's still whatever.
Yeah,
I'll watch it, but it's kind of like on in the background a little bit. But playoff time, you couldn't tell that I wasn't like a hardcore Stars fan all the time, you know. But no, I'm right there with you. In the Olympics too, I think that's like if you find track and field or swimming or anything else, there you go, Ross.
There you go.
Nobody cares to watch them, but when it's the Olympics, you're like, I mean, I feel unpatriotic if I'm not at least paying attention and watching gold medals. And sometimes it depends. I know sometimes the Olympics can be in the middle of the night here, and the way things work now, where they show them on replay for you, but you've already figured out who wins. And if you're not paying attention, your phone's alerting you every time somebody wins a gold medal or whatever. So
yeah.
There's just too much to go around for. I mean, even for us who talk about sports a lot and have multiple podcasts and shows and things we do, I mean, it's hard for us to keep up with it.
Oh, I mean, that's definitely for sure. I mean, I had even kind of wrote on here, like honestly, I'm a fan of literally just about any kind of sport, and I'll watch the highlights of just about any sport. This was actually just happening earlier this afternoon, but I caught like a highlight of darts where a guy threw like a perfect nine darts.
The crowd. Are you talking about when the crowd went crazy? That
yeah.
Scene? Oh yeah,
that
was crazy.
And I was like, man, that's crazy because like I've played darts, I've been at the bar, and I've like just thrown some darts with some friends and stuff. I'm not that good, man. Are you kidding me? 9 darts, that's crazy. But like same thing when I was deployed in Afghanistan, I got into like cricket and rugby a little bit. Mm-hmm. Almost out of like boredom and necessity. There were no other sports to watch, and that's what was on the AFN network. So I picked up some of that. But I mean, cornhole, dodgeball, frolf, like I'll watch all this. I did want to talk about this for like just a brief second because like I was writing these down, and it's like like I'll watch bowling, like we were talking about that earlier. You know what I mean? I even just caught the highlight of like the first female to throw a 300 on TV, and I was like, good for her. Like that's a lot of pressure. It was like the 80s, not that long ago, but I mean it was a while ago. You know what I mean? But new sport out there that I am not a fan of, don't agree with. I usually like most sports, all sports, whatever. Y'all watched or seen this power slap?
That's definitely interesting for the
that's big in like Russia, right?
It's
I mean, it's big here now. It's kind of a branch of UFC. Dana White like owns it, endorses it.
It's
whatever.
stupid. It's like the dumbest thing. Like
I know when you see, I know when I see a lot of TikToks on that, it's like I think that's where it was big before it came here. But it's I don't.
Helps when you're. The point. It really helps when you're sitting at work, and you kind of are like scrolling through, and then it's just like, oh, watch these two guys, and
and honestly, my big thing is like the amount of athleticism in it ends with the person on offense throwing the hit, because there's obviously like some athleticism in how you like move your body and throw the hit and everything, right? But the ability to take a shot to the head like that. There's nothing athletic about it, and it's and I mean I'm not like a leading scientist studying CTE or anything like that.
Oh no,
when I started getting my degree in kinesiology and everything, it was something that I took a lot of like personal interest in, because I remember learning to play football, and I mean I don't know about you guys, but like I learned to tackle guys by leading with the crown of my head and driving through guys. Like, that's how we were taught to tackle guys. And that's definitely not how they teach you to tackle anymore. Exactly, now it's wrap up and drag them to the ground, and it's a whole lot safer. But man, I remember very distinctly being told like, nah, man, hit them with the crown of your helmet, drive through them, like run through them, like this is how you tackle. And then learning that like CTE was really only like discovered and started being researched and everything in like the 90s, and like when we were kids, and we're still learning a lot about this stuff and everything, and now we've got a sport that basically seems dedicated to giving you concussions. And I feel like there's plenty of argument that you could try and make for like boxing or UFC being like just as dangerous, but in boxing and UFC, I have the ability to like protect myself and block and everything. This power slap thing, we're literally talking about just like
the big difference though too in UFC and boxing is you can win without knocking the other guy out. It's a point system. This slap what's the
Power
official
slap.
name?
Power
Power
slap.
slap.
Yeah.
The point is you go until the other guy gives up or you knock him out.
Yeah.
Like you can go all day and not punch somebody in the head really hard in boxing or UFC. Just
You can grapple, submission.
It's a high likelihood you're probably gonna. I mean, you could get a concussion or you could get injured in another way, but you see them all the time. They box, maybe barely any blood, and fight's over. Somebody's gonna win. There's ways to win or lose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. And then like the matches only last like they're probably like 5 minutes, if that. You know, like I'll look at the lines they have like lines, betting lines for power slap, and they're like 2.5 slaps.
Yeah,
so that means like it's gonna be over just like that. And it's like it's the dumbest thing because like their face is swollen, they have black eye, purple eye, and they're like they'll just have to stand there and take it. And then they like sometimes they'll like get knocked out and then like regain consciousness and then like just stand right back up there. So like that's CTE waiting to happen, like you said.
Yeah, right. Because they get like almost like kind of the same as like in boxing, where there's like this knockdown rule. Like if they get up within like the 10 seconds or whatever, but it's like you can see these guys are like glassy, like they're not home, you know. And like Chris was saying too, like I've seen one where like dude was like bleeding from his ear and the whole side of his face was like super swollen, like his eye was almost swollen shut. And I'm like, we're just like letting these guys abuse themselves like this. Like it feels like to me, I feel like I was saying like a few years ago and everything, especially with like say like a guy like Wes Welker who's had like a lot of concussions and he retired and then he like came back from retirement, you know, within that same season to play for like the Rams or whoever it was. And I was like, man, at some point it just feels like somebody needs to like step in for these athletes and like protect them from themselves.
Yeah.
Because like, why are you just letting these guys go get concussions? You know what I mean? Like he had so many concussions up to that point. It's like, man, you get another concussion. Like who knows how you go home to your family, you know? Like, so, I mean, I guess that's the thing I worry about with this power slap thing is like, eventually we're going to end up seeing somebody like take some real damage on a stage full of people, you know, spectators just watching and it's going to be bad, you know? Cause I mean, and we don't even know that much about CTE right now. Cause I mean, cause you can't like inspect the brain until
after,
post-mortem. Yeah. So, it's ridiculous. Glow up media saying like midget wrestling, but I feel like at least like with midget wrestling, like there's some athleticism in there. You know what I mean?
No, I got a story to tell.
I got a great segue. March Madness.
Well, hold on. Let me tell you this. Because on this very show, when we were back on live internet radio, we had a segment that was like weird world of sports or something. And we talked about midget tossing, or maybe it was called dwarf tossing. And we talked about that, like it was legit. I want to say like Sweden, or it was a European country that was big on it.
I feel like
they were star athletes.
Like they were like, were they like big guys throwing midgets?
Pretty much, yeah.
Is midget like can we even say midget?
What I'm saying is like I think we better be careful, boys.
Yeah, but that was the official name of it, was like midget tossing. I want to say like the official league. That's why I say that. I understand
a lot of official names for things that we can't.
I'm looking it up right now.
I remember working like downtown and stuff, and
it's not cancelable.
Midget wrestling.
Yeah, there is midget wrestling too. Like
because
like here in
that's what they
DFW, they go
advertise
around.
as,
Yeah,
dwarf tossing.
Okay, maybe it was,
and then also called midget tossing. Dwarf launch.
Dwarf launch. That seems more insulting to say.
Y'all seen that Wolf of Wall Street?
Oh yeah,
when they're talking about throwing the dwarfs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man.
And it's like now what kind of liability
Australia
are we under for this? Because I'm gonna throw this guy. Like, oh man.
Yes, March Madness. We'll get into it. Ross is getting uncomfortable.
Right. All right.
It's only 20 minutes. No worries.
I mean, you know, we got time and
you got places sports to be, man.
Yeah, right. I thought you loved hanging out with us.
You're right. I do. I
talking
enjoy
sports. It's once a week, man.
I just caught off guard.
Just give me like 60 to 90 minutes of your time.
That shows how compassionate you are. That word got you off guard. That makes you a better person than some of us.
Well, you guys know I'm
No,
the voice, so I try to practice.
I mean,
being
I don't
appreciate
go
the
out
wokeism.
using the word. I was just for the point of the story what it was called. I mean, it's
Hmm.
Glow Up Media's fault. They're the ones that got us using
Real-
that. Well, what are you gonna
real
do?
humble. Real humble of you there, the voice.
I'm just letting you know.
Oh man, I gotta find my spot in my
The
notes
voice.
here now. All right, so we're talking about power slap. All right. Yep.
Back on the rails. Let's keep it going.
Right. Yep, and we talked about the postseason stuff. I think we all agree, love postseason, which I think is a little ironic considering like I'm super pumped about Rangers opening day next week. But
That feels good, man.
It's gonna be kind of our topic of discussion next week. I think
It's on Thursday, right? They're opening.
It is.
Day?
It is.
Okay, so
Thursday night,
perfect for us.
playing the Cubbies.
Yeah, Chicago.
The night.
Then they'll
We
have
should
Friday
just go.
off.
We should just go on a. I know we don't want to because we talked about how expensive the tickets were. We should just all go up there. Not you, Chris, because you're too far away.
I'm gonna be back.
We should go tailgate.
Yeah,
let's just go tailgate and then go home, or go to Texas Live or something.
Texas Live.
Yeah.
Chris, you're in Chicago, right?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago, but I'm probably coming back here pretty soon. So we'll see. But yeah, it's gonna.
If we go up there, there's they actually put a mattress firm inside of Soldier Field that I've always wanted to go check out.
Yeah.
So maybe we go catch a Bears game, swing by the mattress firm.
Yeah. I've been to the White Sox games here. I went to the Rangers White Sox game when they came. I've yet to go to a Cubs game yet. I went to the Cubs White Sox game, but I've yet to go to to Wrigley Field. So definitely looking forward to whenever the Rangers come up here because the tickets are pretty cheap because they both kind of suck a little bit. So definitely gonna pop in there.
I apologize, Dan. It was my fault. We got off topic.
Oh man, no, you're fine. I think we're grooving with good conversation here. We're interested.
Yeah.
But yes, we're excited for Ranger season. Preview next week's topic is actually going to be like opening day ticket prices and is it worthwhile? So we'll talking about a little bit next week. Plus, we'll also do a little reveal this week over a little baseball plan I have for the season, but I think I'm gonna wait that out for another week and we'll make y'all sweat. And then I'll make that reveal next week and we'll show that off too. But I guess I find it a little ironic. We're talking about how much we love season competition, game, and everything, and I'm like, opening days next week. Let's not forget. I'm super excited. But all right, so main event for tonight, we're gonna work on a March Madness bracket. I got it set up so that we can actually make one kind of together. The viewers in here get involved. Great bench, Mod, what is going on? Welcome to the stream. And I think we can just kind of talk about. So we've all completed our own brackets. I thought we could take a minute to talk about maybe some of our Final Four S's. Who we think will make the Final Four, and maybe who we've kind of each picked as our champions a little bit. And I thought we could also have an interesting conversation about just kind of like our techniques for picking teams and everything. So who wants to kick us off here? Ashton, you want me to tell you about how Duke's not going to make it, or you want to tell me how you think they're going to win the whole thing?
I'm going to tell you that James Madison's going to win it all. That's who no, I'm just kidding.
James Madison.
No, if you want to ask me about Duke, I have him losing in the Sweet 16.
Me too.
Both a really close game, barely beating James Madison, by the way, in the second round. But you just want me to tell you who my champion is? What exactly are we asking right now?
I mean, yeah, go ahead, kick us off with who do you think's going to win the tournament, Ashton?
I have Houston beating UConn in a close game. I know, shocker. I don't have any crazy upset picks, but Houston, UConn. I also have Arizona beating North Carolina in the Elite Eight. I have Arizona in the Final Four and Purdue as well. I think my biggest upset, man. Let me see if I can find. I really don't have a great upsets. If I can look, I know this makes for great live content. I have St. Mary's making it to the Sweet 16. I don't think that's a big upset. South Carolina making it to the Sweet 16. That's why I don't feel confident in my bracket, because I don't have big enough upsets. I just couldn't pick some of these upsets. They're pretty straightforward. Deal. Texas Tech makes it to the Sweet 16, maybe.
I feel like that's one of the kind of exciting parts of kind of picking your bracket and everything, right? Is because there's always going to be those upsets that just like, man, I knew they were going to upset that game, you know, like I should have went with my gut there or something, you know. I feel like it happens all the time. Like, man, I knew it. Especially Ashton, you were talking about number 12, and I'd kind of shared with y'all a few like interesting stats that I'd come across, but if y'all didn't see this one, number 11 is actually the upset favorite in the bracket since the expansion to 68 teams in 2011. Number 11 against number 6 is 25-23. It's the expansion, so they're the one with like the.
Sorry, I have UAB as the 12 seed winning in the first round. That's probably my biggest upset. Just to bounce off what you were saying, not to interrupt.
No, you're good. Gray Wrench going crazy in the chat right here. So yeah. Sorry, Ashton. Who was your champ? You had Houston. Houston taking the whole thing. Ross, you wanna? Who do you got going?
Well, it'll be a big surprise, but I actually have Kansas beating Duke in the Elite Eight.
Oh wow!
You have Duke going that far? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a believer. I wish you were. You're the fan, you know.
I mean,
but I looked at the teams that they're playing against, and I was like, you know, they're pretty good. Unfortunately, I'm not for some reason able to view the bracket that I filled out for you guys, but
download the app.
I mean, it's here. It says I can sign in, but then it says my email's bad. But I used to just be able to. I guess I could just use my Facebook.
No, I mean, honestly, I had to play with it a little bit too. It's how I managed to make us the second bracket. We're gonna fill in here in just a little bit, but if you want to take a second to try and pull that up, we'll come back to you, Ross. Chris,
sure, man.
Let me know, man. Who's your champ? Who you got taking it to the?
So my final four, I think me and Ashton kind of have a similar final four. So I have Arizona beating North Carolina because I've watched a couple of North Carolina games. They're kind of up and down. They have the most losses out of all the 1 seeds. It's just kind of iffy for them. So I have Arizona beating UConn, and then I have Marquette beating Purdue, and then the championship game I have Arizona beating Marquette. So I think I have Caleb Love getting his revenge against his old team. I feel like he brings that that veteran presence. He's one of the best players in the country, All-American. I feel like this is his time, man, before he makes that jump to the NBA. Big upsets. I don't really have too many. I have Texas Tech going to the Sweet 16. I don't have Duke going that far. I have them losing in the second round to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's tough.
Yeah.
And then I also have. I feel like Marquette going that far is a good one. I mean Drake. I have them beating Washington State, then losing to Iowa State. So. Pretty standard, nothing too crazy. I tried to sprinkle in some upsets just so I can, ease my mind a little bit about.
That's what you have to do. Just hope you pick on the right ones.
Yeah. So I have Arizona.
I had Marquette losing to Houston in the Elite Eight. So I'm kind of close to you.
I think I'm kind of like I have recency bias because I just watched Houston lose by 1 million in the championship game. So I know they're going to be different. Kansas. They have one of their best players out, so I feel like that'll affect them. So so I have Marquette losing to Arizona in the championship.
I bet Ross is bold enough to pick a 14 to beat a 2, because that happens relatively often, like every couple of years, maybe every 3 years. I just never have the balls to do it.
Yeah, just tell me, who you're talking about, and I'll let you know what I picked. But it looks like it's not going to work tonight for me to be able to dual screen this. So I think I picked Marquette to win one of their games, but I think I had them get knocked out in that second round. There were some tough ones though, like James Madison and St. Mary's. Those are the guys who
James Madison's a good team.
Really
that's why I think that it'll be a close one. If I have them and Duke in the second round, I wouldn't be surprised if they upset, made to the Sweet 16.
I mean, I have some upsets. I definitely feel like by the time I kind of finished putting my bracket together, I felt like I didn't have enough upsets, but I felt comfortable enough, I guess, just going with my gut and leaving it. I didn't want to go back and like second guess anything. So I kind of left it alone. I feel like I'm going to have an unpopular opinion here. I picked Purdue to win this thing, man. Purdue loves to get upset, especially by like double-digit ranked teams. So, and I mean, let's not forget that I actually wrote this stat down as well. Where is it? Let's see. Number one hardly ever gets upset. In fact, they make the Elite Eight 63% of the time. Number two makes the Elite Eight nearly half the time. But the number one team has not lost in the first round since 2000. It's only happened twice. It was Virginia in 2017, 2018. Lost in the first round.
I remember that. I was listening to it on the radio. And I felt like I need to pull over. I pulled up my TV app because I wanted to see the first time it had ever happened. And then it happens like a couple of years later again.
I was in Vegas that year and it ruined my bracket, just blew my bracket to pieces.
Did you have a parlay going?
Yeah. That was the main reason I remembered, because I woke up the next day after like binge drinking and a hangover.
Sick.
And I wake up, and I'm like feeling awful, and I look at my phone and it's Virginia got upset, and I was like,
just the
day. Was that the one that cost you money?
Yeah, right. And then Purdue last year got upset first round, 2023. So
this might be their revenge thing. It's kind of like Virginia when they lost. I think they came back and won it the next year.
Well, that's kind of the big thing. Purdue also just got upset in the conference championship game. I think it was the semifinals, the quarterfinals. But I'd like to think that they're playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder between what happened to them last year and what just happened in the conference championship tournament. I'd like to think that they'll find a new gear. Real him saying Purdue's going to lose in the second round. In all honesty, I would absolutely love that, because as we'll get into it, I got TCU upsetting in the first round. They're number 9 to number 8, so not like a huge upset or anything. But number 9 actually only has a 9% chance to advance past the round of 32. And if TCU does win that first round, Purdue also wins their first round. That'll be that second round match, Purdue versus TCU. So to be honest, if Purdue lost that second round to TCU, it would obviously blow my bracket apart, but I'd be pretty pumped as a TCU alum.
So how far do you have TCU going, Dan?
Man, in all honesty, in the one bracket that I've made so far for the league, I just have TCU winning that first round and then losing to Purdue in that second round. So,
me too.
Not really going terribly far, but number 9s are kind of the favorites in the 8-9 matchup. So I don't think it's a bad bet either to take TCU in the first round, but it's an awful tall order to
Utah State's tough too.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be an uphill battle for TCU, but I mean, who can't get behind a Cinderella story like that? I mean, it's going to be tough for anybody. Honestly, the Midwest is probably one of the tougher brackets in my opinion. Purdue 1, Tennessee 2, and then who was 3? Creighton and Kansas are 3-4. So it's a pretty tough region in the bracket and everything. Speaking of which, actually a little bit, I thought this was kind of funny. So Ashton is actually the only team of the 4 teams we talked about last week that is not in the Midwest. Chris, you got Texas. I got TCU. and Ross got Kansas, all Midwest.
Calling me out, man.
And
I don't know what the hate is about.
Ashton's the guy trying to play it as simple as possible, make sure
Trying to be
he stays
different.
stay as far away from from the good teams.
Yeah,
the
I
South.
mean that's kind of the strategy. Like,
That's a
what's
tough
your
bracket.
goal? What's your
No,
goal
that's
here?
a tough-
You're
that's a tough
trying
one
to
too, yeah.
you're trying to win this by the most points, and yeah, it's cool if you pick an upset, but it's not worth any more than any other. And if nobody else is picking the upsets, and you're not really screwing yourself over if you don't get it, it's like, well, nobody really got it. So I think that's my goal. Just it's not probably not a very realistic bracket because there's not big upsets, but at the same time, I just feel like I can get a lot of points. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've never won a March Madness bracket challenge, but I've most years been still in contention going into the Final Four. And maybe that's because I'm not bold enough to get over the hump, but I feel like I never do bad. And now that I say that, I'm gonna get screwed and be like last place in here.
I mean, if
Don't
I'm
say it, Dan. Don't say it, Dan. No, don't be completely honest and tell me.
No, I mean,
Calling me every episode. You're calling me out.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like it's a pretty even competition here for the whole March Madness bracket league thing we got going here.
You want
not a
people
whole
to have
lot of
different
like
Final Fours because that's how
Yeah.
you.
Oh, for
that's
sure,
a difference maker.
For sure. And I mean, none of us are like super hardcore college basketball guys or anything. So this is really kind of my little segue into, like if you're, watching live now or you're watching the replay later or anything, still a little bit of time for you to get involved with our Peak One bracket and everything. We'll try and include the link in the description. So if you guys want to join us, feel free. Free league. Unfortunately, we're not really doing any kind of giveaway this year, but it is just our first year. So I feel like those bragging rights for that first year victory kind of gains a lot or over the years as it moves on, So feel free to get involved here. Take the bragging rights away from one of us podcasters or whatever. You can put up to 3 entries in there. Just have some fun with it. Talk a little smack if you want, whatever. We're all just trying to have a good time. Everybody's probably got as good a chance as anybody else. I happened to write down these numbers just because I thought it was interesting. But if you didn't know, winning or making a perfect bracket, if you were to just go through and flip a coin to make each decision, it's about 1 in 9.2 quintillion. So for those of you that aren't like huge math people, right there,
there's a chance. You mean there's a chance?
Astronomical. For those that happen to know numbers and whatever. Quintillion, that's 6 commas. So million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion. So 9.2 quintillion. Like, and then if you happen to be a college sports fan and are more knowledgeable in the subject, your odds get a little bit better, and they go to I think it's 1 in 120 billion. So they get a little bit better, I suppose, but still pretty astronomical. So if you're worried about like not knowing a lot about college sports or college basketball specifically, don't let that deter you. I don't think we necessarily know a whole lot about it, and the number of combinations and outcomes and everything involved with March Madness, just honestly filling out a bracket for me at least just kind of makes it Kyle Harrison likes those odds. Filling out a bracket for me though just kind of makes the games a little more interesting. It gives me a team to root for, and I'm a little more like invested in it, even if I'm not winning any money or anything like that. So feel free to get in there, just join us, have some fun, and we'll keep talking about it over the next couple of weeks and everything. We'll see how everybody's brackets doing, and especially if there's any big upsets here coming up this weekend. So, but yeah, everybody get involved, get in there. Next thing I kind of wanted to talk about just before we actually get into picking out this bracket and everything, who's got like the killer strategy on how to pick these teams? Like, are y'all flipping coins? Are y'all rolling dice? Are you drawing tarot cards? Are you getting drunk and just kind of going with your gut? What are we doing here?
Are you asking me or our listeners?
Man, I'm honestly everybody, because I feel like I've never even heard of. I actually just read one strategy the other day that I thought was pretty decent. I'll see if it's actually anybody's strategy for doing this. But I'm honestly just curious, because I feel like I personally just kind of go through and mostly go with my gut. make some picks and decisions and
yeah, it's kind of like a feeling thing.
Does fandom play any level of decision making? You know, like who's got something for me?
Yeah,
Ross.
definitely did for
Well,
me.
yeah, you know, Ross, because you did say you picked Kansas, right? So, was that kind of your big decision?
Yeah, I mean,
maker?
I can't lie to you guys. I knew I was going to pick Kansas to go all the way. But
I had a suspicion.
There are times that if I'm not familiar with the teams, I'll look at the mascots. And, you know, if it's like the Wildcats and the Bumblebees, right? I'm like, oh, well, I bet Wildcats could crush some Bumblebees. So I'll pick the Wildcats, right? So sometimes I'll go off of the mascot, you know, if I really just don't know anything about the
swarm
team.
of bumblebees, though.
That would
they could fly away from the Wildcat.
Yeah, right.
Just
what if it's a hive?
Yeah.
Well, hey, I didn't say it was perfect strategy. I just said it was a strategy.
I mean, 1 in 9.2 quintillion. I feel like no strategy is perfect. So
right, the one that gets tough,
and they're all worth examining. They're all worth trying. So
right.
Well, this way, I know my 10-year-old son who knows nothing about college basketball likes to fill out brackets, and he has New Mexico winning it all. So I just want to put that out there, just in case it happens. Saying, hey,
big
no, not at all. I have no idea his reasoning for picking that. I told him like the higher.
I would imagine
seed
if you asked him, he wouldn't
better.
even know they're the Lobos. You know what I'm saying? But like,
yeah, I don't remember the copy I handed him. I think it just said New Mexico, so he probably had no clue.
Right, just a black and white printout, like nothing on it. Yeah. Chris, you got any interesting strategies? You just
it's more so like you guys said, it's just kind of a gut feeling. Like I just kind of would just look at the matchups. I usually always pick the 1s over the 16s and the 2s over the 15s. The 5-12s are always, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna pick all the 5s to beat all the 12s. So I'm just gonna sprinkle one in here. You know, just kind of just going off of like previous history. So but other than that, you know, it's kind of just more of a feeling thing. I try to put my biases aside, you know, because, you know, like you have to be unbiased in these sort of situations, unless your team is, you know, really good. Kansas, they have a pretty solid team. I don't see them going all the way to wherever, you know, but that's my personal choice, you know, so.
Right.
But yeah, just kind of a gut feeling.
So I got, I'll tell you an example. A couple of years ago when it was Coach K's last year, like it was a really good Duke team, and I had them in the Final Four against North Carolina. That was the only 2 teams I had, and I had picked North Carolina to win specifically because of my bias. And I thought if it gets down to that and North Carolina wins, it's going to be upsetting a little bit, but it's also going to be double if I pick Duke. So I picked North Carolina to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's they just had to win. Was it against Kansas? Who did they play that year? I don't remember. But anyways, they had a big lead, and if they would have won the championship, I didn't have them winning the championship, but the guy I was going against, who was me and him, he had, I want to say it was Kansas, he had the other team winning the championship, and if North Carolina won, it would stop him from getting the points, and I would have won.
Was this last year or the year before?
No, this was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Coach K's last year, and North Carolina, I'm like, I've won. I'm going to win. I think it was a few $100s because North Carolina was up double digits at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
And then North Carolina just blew it. I lost, didn't get any money. More hatred for North Carolina now. Just,
but Duke ended up winning though, right?
Duke lost to North Carolina in the Final Four.
Yeah, honestly, it was a very kind of lackluster ending for Coach K's career because it just, I mean,
yeah,
one of the greatest coaches, and he definitely kind of went out with this fizzle, losing.
It was a great game, though. I mean,
it was a good game. It was competitive, but I mean, I feel like everybody expected, you know, Coach K and Duke to pull that one out, and it just didn't work out that way. And you know, Coach K kind of ends up going out on a loss, which just wasn't really indicative of his career, you know. Especially his time at Duke and kind of putting them on the map and everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a Duke, man. I feel like they're
you
definitely
really
one
don't
of those.
like the Duke, do you, Dan?
No, it's not even that.
He's calling me out.
I will. I mean, I will say, like, I was surprised to find out, like, Duke. I didn't know you were
TCU,
from Carolina.
TCU and Duke.
You know? I didn't know you're from the Carolinas. You know, I had no idea.
Should we get a
Not all of
counter
them.
up on
I went to
the
basic
next
training,
podcast,
you know?
and each time Dan calls you out, we'll just hit the button.
Right,
So
yeah.
like it just keeps
Is
counting.
it like
I
14
mean,
right
this
now?
is the second
Yeah,
live
14
stream.
right
We'll
now.
get like a swear jar to put back here.
The
or
second
something, and I'll
live
just-
stream. He called me out for being a Duke fan last week. He calls me out
Mhm.
this week. He calls me out
March
for not
Madness, man.
having.
You better buckle up.
He calls me out for not having. I don't even know what he was. My bracket's too safe, I guess. He calls me out like it's strategy, man. I don't know. I had Duke losing in the Sweet 16. What do you want me to do?
I mean,
It's obviously not fandom.
Really,
I'm
I
a
was
fan
just
of
saying,
Texas too.
going
I had
over
them
that
losing
nuggets.
in I think the Sweet 16.
I think the answer to that is he wants you to just say Duke sucks and you don't like Duke, and TCU.
I'm pretty sure
that
I
would probably
said
make him
that.
happy.
Duke
yeah,
has
when
sucked this
everyone
year.
becomes
Very
a Horned Frog
disappointing.
fan, I'll stop giving people shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like
just
No.
everyone be a fan of my teams, and
so
then
I like
everything will be fine.
I like
you know?
Texas. I like the Longhorns, so it's helping
enough, I
me
guess.
that the Longhorns are leaving, so TCU doesn't feel like a rival. Because growing up, it wasn't like the Southwest Conference rivalry. It was TCU was in the Conference USA and Mountain West, so I was a fan of TCU and the Longhorns. So then when they became the Big 12, like I understand people like their big rivals. I'm like, I don't feel that way, and now I can cheer for both again because they'll be in different conferences.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean-
Unless they play, I think it'd have to be the Final Four. But TCU and Texas could play both, if they both get a few upsets.
I mean, honestly, it's one of my. Well, I mean, it was one of my favorite games every year with Texas moving to the SEC. You know, they won't play each other every year.
I've been to
anymore.
a TCU Texas basketball game before at TCU. It was fun. I think it was the game they Texas hit a game winner, if I'm not mistaken. This was about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, but it was a great game.
No, I mean, honestly, it's the same way with football too. TCU's kind of always willing and able to upset Texas.
Yeah.
So
It's always a good game.
and I mean,
Even this year,
yeah,
it was a pretty good game.
Yeah. So always a good time. And I'm definitely gonna, because I mean, I grew up a Texas fan, and then my choice to go to TCU was, more location based than anything. Right here at home in Fort Worth. So got to come home, got to get my degree, win-win. But anyway, moving on. Let's get this bracket working here. If I can make sure I turn on there. No, not. We'll figure it out.
Nope.
Hope nobody suffers from Tourette's.
I know, right? Jesus.
There's Dan.
There we
All right.
go.
There we go.
Jeez, I don't know why the option wasn't on here or whatever, but that's fine. I figured it out. We did it.
Because you're a TCU fan.
We got,
so.
Yeah.
it's because I'm a TCU graduate.
There we go.
That's
Fight
why.
back, Ash.
Yeah, you graduated from TCU.
I mean,
Fight back, Ash.
We know it was a quality thing. Man, side note, upset me about TCU. They really don't have much as far as like for veterans. They don't have like a veteran wing or study hall or anything like that. A lot of campuses do. UT Arlington actually has like some really good resources and everything for veterans. TCU, however, just very lackluster. I was very disappointed in that, but
Yeah.
it's a story for another time. All right, so I thought it would be probably most interesting and most fun if we just went ahead and started with the Midwest bracket over here, since we got kind of 3 of the 4 teams we were talking about last week. I was actually, just because I remembered it now too, I was going to mention the one interesting strategy that I happened to read about, I think it was yesterday when I was just kind of like looking over like how people pick or make their picks for March Madness and everything. One of like the best strategies actually said to like pick your final 4 first and then work your brackets backward from there, because it actually kind of like eliminates some of the decision making that you have to do as far as who you think is going to win certain games and whatever. Working that way. Anybody got thoughts about that? That seems weird to me. I almost feel like I let the Final 4 kind of pick itself. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about the 12 and 5 seeds, that rule. I also try to avoid making my Final 4 a bunch of number 1 seeds, because that has happened, but it doesn't happen very often. But I don't know, because it's hard to tell, because you really have to dig deep in the bracket and understand that, okay, I'm just going to pick Houston to go to the Final Four without even looking at the matchups, like who could they possibly face that could beat them. Because even though I have them winning the championship, I feel like out of all the number 1 seeds, they're probably more likely to get beaten before then. Just like, to me, it feels like a tougher region comparatively to how good Houston is. But yeah, I don't think I could do that. Just pick your Final Four and move your way back. I feel I would change my answers.
Chris?
I like the original way, just kind of just working, like starting at the beginning and just kind of working your way to, to the end. I feel like, I don't know. Maybe something might be missed if I do that, like a matchup that you never know. So I just kind of just start, from the beginning, just like, like everybody else. But
That's usually, I feel like that's usually how I'm doing it too. Ross?
yeah, just.
Oh yeah, no, I hate that idea. That's the worst idea ever. I would never do that.
Terrible.
And I mean, it really just comes down to like kind of like what Ashton said, and I mean Chris too. Like I think we're all in agreement. Like you could pick your Final Four and that's fun, but then when you start going through the bracket and you're like, oh, actually, like they have to play this team, or they have to play this team. I like going one by one, just going down the list and just, oh, okay, well, who I think is going to win here, and then just find out where I end up, and I like the way that feels better.
Yeah, I feel like you're less likely to overlook a matchup.
Yeah, the matchups.
If you zoom in, just look at one pick at it. That's why it's easier for me, like to do it on a computer or on your phone, because you just zoom in and go one pick at a time, and you don't think of it as a whole. But maybe that I've never won a March Madness bracket. I've never had really a perfect bracket, so maybe that's why. But
no, I mean I agree with that. I don't think I've really ever won, not like a competitive March Madness bracket. I feel like I've definitely done like a few years where I basically like compete against myself or something like that. Like I didn't.
Hey, you get like 3 or 4 your Final Four teams, right?
Yeah, but for the most part, I feel like you'd have to be pretty well like informed and tied into college basketball to like start your bracket with picking your Final Four. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
these are going to be the Final Four. That feels like a pretty informed decision you would come in with. And on top of that, I think I like totally agree with you guys. As much as like it feels like maybe your decision making is like lessened by working the bracket backwards, I feel like it's going to be harder to like pick and figure out those upsets. Like the 12-5, the 6-11 matchups, like feels like I want to pick those upsets like first and play the bracket through that way. Whereas like if I'm doing the bracket backwards, it makes it harder for me.
Yeah, it feel like once you pick your Final Four, the rest of the games seem meaningless to you, because they're not making the Final Four anyways. I kind of go in the fact like I'm going to pick this team, and I'm not thinking about how far they're going until I get to that round, and it's like, well, this team's definitely not making the Final Four because I already picked my Final Four teams, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it definitely seems easier to just like look at the individual matchups, like we're gonna do right now here with like we'll just start here with the.
Are you brushing your beard, Ross?
I love it.
Yeah, I gotta look good all the time, guys.
So Purdue Grambling. Anybody got Purdue getting upset in the first round for a second year in a row? Are we doing
Grambling look good tonight?
Yeah, we can
They
kind of
looked good.
I mean, Grambling did look pretty good.
They weren't
playing. Did that game
Purdue,
go to
though.
overtime? It was an overtime game.
It was
though, right?
close. Yeah, it was close. I don't remember if it was
Do we know
overtime.
who they played?
Who did
I'm not
they
gonna
play?
lie to you.
They didn't play Purdue.
Yep.
Right, yeah. All right, so we're putting Purdue in. Utah and TCU. I feel like we all know who I'm picking. We'll let you three.
Utah. No.
I mean,
I
that's fine.
picked
Show your
TCU.
work.
I picked TCU to
I
win
ended
that
up
game
TCU.
too.
Just because they're
Yeah,
coming, just because they're in the Big
TCU
12
as well.
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah,
all
right.
go
12's a
TCU
good
there.
defense, yeah.
DQ, let's go. Get them, Horned Frogs. Gonzaga McNeese. This is that
Yikes.
5-12 matchup we always like to look at. That number 12 team is not to be underestimated.
I tried to
Definitely
not.
going to be Gonzaga though.
Yeah, that's what I picked too. But it's like you try not to get hooked on the names. It's like Gonzaga has a lot of good success, and really, honestly, I haven't watched one Gonzaga game this year. I just picked them like, hey, they're ranked higher, and it's Gonzaga. But that's one of those traps. I try to feel like always picking Kansas or back in the day Michigan State.
Yeah, no, I feel like I totally agree. I want to pick Gonzaga and everything. That's obviously the team I'm going with here too. But it would definitely be the type of game that would, like Gonzaga gets upset and you're like, man, I just something about it. Like I knew it,
Yeah.
But that definitely strikes me as one of those games. You're like, man, like Gonzaga should totally win this game. But if they lost, you'd be like, I had a feeling, All right, number 4, Kansas and Samford.
Samford.
Rock Chalk.
This should be an easy game, I think,
easy
for
one.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Pretty easy first round for Kansas. Carolina Gamecocks. What? Can you say that? Can you say that online? Versus Oregon, a number 11 and 6. I love to take 11s in these matchups. I did kind of mention earlier that 11 is the favorite upset, and they're at 25 and 23 since the expansion. So I mean that honestly, that's usually me in these types of matchups. I'm usually
hey guys,
pretty willing
breaking
to
news.
take Oregon, but
breaking news. So there is a teacher who would like us to send them a bracket that they can fill out. Is there a way we could put like the link in the chat or something like that so that
are they watching right
class,
now?
Yeah, she wants her whole class
I'll
to
do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it right now.
Yeah, so that way when they watch tomorrow, she can get the link from there, and then she's gonna have her whole.
It's got to be pretty quick because I think in about 15 hours it'll.
Yeah, games start at like noon tomorrow.
Yeah, so she'd have to do it in the morning, but for sure,
have to be a first thing in the morning.
Well, I'll pass the word along that'll be the first thing that they do.
I'll make it a comment. The live chat will be gone after we stop streaming, but
it should.
But I'll put it in the regular comments. I think
I'm not positive.
We can probably post the link in the comments or something, right?
Or tweet it out.
Yeah. We'll put it in the description.
It's going to be in the comments. So.
But also, in case there is still time and you do want to get involved in the bracket league that we have going, feel free to find us on social media at Peak One Sports. On our Facebook page, we have shared numerous times the link to this bracket league, so you can find it there as well. So if you can't find it in the comments and you can't seem to find it in the description of the video, it's also on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page.
Well, I'll post in the live chat just so everyone has it too, but
cool.
Yeah. So, but I believe the tournament starts noon tomorrow, Thursday, March 21st. So there's a little bit of time. There is time to still get in there, but the window is definitely closing. We're under the 12-hour mark or whatever, I think, or it might be like 14 hours or something like that.
Right? Yeah. I saw 15 hours left right before we started, so about 14 hours.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be So
for this one, I really wanted to put Oregon beating South Carolina, but something just made me go South Carolina on this one. Maybe I should use Betalytics and not trust my gut, but I think that is what I would pick. I don't know how you guys feel.
I'd like to tell you, but I don't. I have to check. I don't even remember who I picked on that one. Tells you what I know, but
I honestly think I was doing the same thing as Ross. I wanted to pick Oregon for the upset.
Yeah,
but, the Gamecocks have been playing some pretty good basketball, both men's and women's. So I think I ended up taking South Carolina.
Yeah,
in this one.
Yeah, I picked South Carolina as well.
All right, so is that the pick? South Carolina.
Yep.
Go Gamecocks.
Got the Blue Jays in the next round.
All right, you got these.
I have a comment on that next one, the Creighton-Akron game.
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
picked Creighton, but I felt. Did y'all see how Akron won their championship? Their conference championship. Did y'all see that?
No.
I don't remember who they were playing, but the team they were playing scored a basket to go up by 1 with like 5 seconds left, and they intentionally fouled. One of the players intentionally fouled them, not knowing the situation of the game, thinking they were still down or whatever. I guess they made a comeback, and so Akron made 2 free throws to win the game.
Oh my
Yeah, that
So-
doesn't really
wow.
scream excellent talent under pressure.
Well, no. I'm not saying like pick them because they did that, but it's like little things like that. Like they barely got in, they got in on a technicality. It's like I want to say I picked them on a separate bracket elsewhere as an upset, just for that reason. Not because I think they're
Right.
better or whatever, but it's like weird stuff like that. Like they shouldn't have even been there. They should have 100% lost that game and probably wouldn't have made it into the tournament. Like little things like that happen. It's
Yeah.
March Madness, man. It's madness.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Shout out Anna. Just again, real quick. We put the link in the description of the YouTube video, and you can also find it on YouTube or on Facebook. I keep doing that. You can find it on our Facebook page as well. So shouldn't be too much of an issue. If something happens, feel free to reach out to Ross or whoever, and I'm sure we can work it out for you in the morning.
Facebook, Twitter, any social media account, just search at Peak One Sports. You'll see our logo. Just message one of them if you have any issue. We'll message you back.
Yeah, we've definitely shared it numerous times. So I
yeah, if
don't
you
think
can't
it'll
find
be
it,
an
just
issue.
send us a message on one of those platforms, and we'll send it to you.
For sure. But we appreciate the interaction. Thanks for getting everybody involved.
I think it'd be cool to have a class of students doing it too.
Oh, I mean, honestly, the more the merrier, and the more people you end up beating, the better the bragging rights. I think that's just like a
For
personal
sure.
opinion. And like I said, even just filling out a bracket for free and everything just kind of gives you a team to root for in each game, and just makes the whole thing a little more exciting. So just trying to have some fun. Love that we can get more people involved. So the more the merrier. Let's keep it going. Are we taking the upset here? Akron over Creighton? Or
I'm
No.
not gonna do that.
Oh
but
gosh, don't listen to me.
No.
And I picked Creighton anyways, but I
Yeah.
just thought that was a fun fact. Let's put it in there.
Yeah. Crazy.
oh, for sure.
So if Akron does make a little bit of a run, just be like, hey, that was weird. They shouldn't even been there.
Right? Yeah, no, like we totally talked about that.
yeah,
though.
if
Like, it was-
Akron wins that game, we're all gonna say, "Yeah, too bad it wasn't Duke. You suck."
Dude, I would not be surprised if Duke. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah, actually,
I'm not.
Creighton
I'm not
was-
as I'm not wearing blinders as a fan as much as Dan probably is.
No.
Oh, never.
I wonder
Never in
who
my
we're gonna
life.
pick out of this next one though, because I know Colorado State, they had a pretty impressive win, right? Coming
Man,
into
yeah,
this one.
they blew the doors off of Virginia this afternoon.
Yeah.
So
I think at halftime it was like, what was it, like 13
they were up by
or
like
24?
20.
They were by,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it was crazy. I was listening on the radio to the updates, and they were freaking out that they actually got points in the second.
Man, honestly, the crazy thing is, I was kind of saying to myself when I was filling in my bracket here, because this matchup hadn't quite been filled in. And in my mind, I was thinking, if Colorado wins and Texas ends up playing Colorado, Texas all day. But if Virginia wins
Oh yeah,
and Texas has to play Virginia, I feel like my decision's a little harder, because as much as I would like to pick Texas, Virginia loves to upset Texas
Yeah.
in their matchups, and
Yeah.
it just
I
it
picked
makes me wary.
I picked Texas, but something to keep in mind: Texas has had kind of I wouldn't say a down year, just an uneventful. It's not been a significant year for them, and they're notorious for getting upset in the first round. I mean, just a few years ago, they won their first tournament game in a while, and they make it every
Oh,
single
yeah,
year.
very
But
true.
they were
So
losing.
I guess the
first round a
question
lot.
is then, is this the one we take for our upset?
I picked Texas, so I mean, we could collectively, which would be weird because I think we all had Texas. But
I mean, someone in the chat talk us out of picking Texas here, and like we'll switch up the pick. But I feel like you got 4 Texas boys here ready to, not root for Colorado. So somebody
Yeehaw.
stop me. Somebody stop me. No, all right, Texas. Let's go get them horns.
Tennessee all day.
Yeah, I don't think this should be an
Yeah.
issue at all. Tennessee's actually been playing some
Good,
really
yeah.
good basketball as of late, so this
Bombs.
should be a pretty easy win. All right. Do we move on to the next region, or should we just finish this section of the bracket?
Let's just finish the section. We're
Finish
here.
the section. That's
why
what I
not
thought.
start with the Final Four like the experts say?
Oh, I know, right? This time let's work our way up from the bottom here. We'll start with Tennessee, Texas, 2-7. It's a good matchup. but to be honest, me personally, I think I'm kind of right there with Ashton. Texas struggles in this tournament. Every time they make it, they're often like that first round eliminated. I want to root for them more. I'd even love to see the upset over Tennessee. I don't think it's going to happen. So I think it's going to be Tennessee orange over burnt orange here.
So I actually went with Texas on the win on this one because I have them losing to South Carolina in the next round. But
Okay.
I know Tennessee's really good. I know
PFD took Colorado State over Texas. All right.
I don't think
it's a bad pick. No, we're not going back, but I mean I don't think it's
look
a
at
bad
that.
pick
I had
necessarily, but
I'm looking at my bracket. I had Texas moving on past Tennessee also.
oh wow. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I'm the one being outvoted here. Chris?
Oh, we're voting?
I had, let's see, I had Texas beating Tennessee also, and then losing to.
Wow.
I don't know
All
why
right.
I had them. Well, I know why I had them losing to Creighton.
I mean, I'm for it, man. I'm absolutely for it. On my bracket, I also have Texas, Tennessee, but I have Tennessee beating Texas. So,
Okay.
but I mean, if the numbers are against me, then I say we take Texas, and I'm totally down for that. That does not bother me at all. Like I would love to see TCU and Texas make it and match up. Like that'd be pretty dope to see for the what is it the Sweet 16.
No, I think it'd be
Elite Eight. Yeah. So, all right. So next one, you guys were saying you got South Carolina Gamecocks moving on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chris said he
I
had
did,
Creighton.
Yeah.
Don't worry
I had
about
Creighton.
Chris.
You had Creighton. Okay. To be honest, it seems like our brackets are very similar here because I also have South Carolina Creighton here. I have South Carolina winning this one as well.
Yeah.
Though. So, man. Gamecocks, they've been playing good ball right now, So I mean, hard to root against them. I feel like
I would say of all of the matchups that we've talked about, if there's going to be one that like is going to be kind of more realistic as an upset, I think Chris is onto something. Like Creighton has a better chance, in my opinion, of beating South Carolina than St. Peter's has to beat Tennessee or Akron has to beat Creighton, in my opinion. So like on this one, I put South Carolina, but for our bracket that we're doing together, like I'm not going to be opposed to Chris's idea of having Creighton go to Texas and then lose against Texas, or beat Texas. But
you never rule out those Big East teams.
Yeah.
You never know.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
and I mean, honestly,
Creighton's
I feel like this is the fun part of kind of doing a bracket together is just kind of getting in each other's head a little bit. And it's like, you think, are you sure? Like, like just kind of making each other second guess it a little bit. I mean, chat, feel free to tell us, how right or wrong we are on some of these picks, throw in your opinion as well. Or, leave comments below after the fact, take some of our advice or, even use it as a means to what not to do, I guess, right? So I guess in this one we want to just go ahead and push on with Creighton.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Kansas Gonzaga. Ross.
That this one was tough for me. I just said that Creighton has a good chance of beating South Carolina, but I had put South Carolina to pass. I mean, this one, I'll be honest. When it comes to Kansas and Gonzaga, I love Gonzaga. I mean, the memories of the last few years of watching Gonzaga go deep into the playoff, into the tournament. My dad was a big Gonzaga fan, and so this one was hard for me just because I kind of thought, the same thing I thought about South Carolina Creighton. Like, I mean, Gonzaga's good. I mean, but I picked Kansas. I think that when we're talking about the experience that the team has and the coaching, Bill Self as the coach there, I mean, he's been here so many times. I guess while it wouldn't surprise me if Gonzaga did upset, and that would upset me, I'm still picking Kansas on this one. I don't know how you guys feel, but when we talk about even Duke. Like I know Dan, you're bad on it, but I've always thought Duke was a great team, no matter how good their actual team is. These blue blood programs that are just basketball programs, it's hard for me to go against them. Now, granted, Gonzaga doesn't really have any other sports that we ever talk about other than basketball. But I think what makes Gonzaga unique is that they are always kind of a Cinderella option. They surprise people, they upset. But in this case, I'm going Kansas. I don't know how you guys feel. It won't bother me if we make an upset pick here, like we did with Creighton over South Carolina, probably. But I'm a Kansas boy, true and true. So I'm gonna go KU on this one.
Gonzaga does not have Timmy anymore. I know he played for like 8 years, it seemed like. No, I have Kansas also. Kansas is going to – I wouldn't be surprised if Gonzaga gets upset in the first round, but I couldn't pick him in the first, but Kansas blows by him, I think.
I'll go Kansas.
I mean, I think that's really funny. I'm the only guy here that actually I did pick Gonzaga in my bracket, and I just want to throw this out there because I did find this stat an interesting national champion trend over the last few years. I can't remember exactly how many it was. The national championship team managed to advance to at least the semifinals of the conference tournament. Teams with the early exits this year, there were 5 of them: Duke, Kansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Alabama. Everybody made it to the quarterfinals except Kansas, who lost in the second round. And unfortunately, the big reason for Kansas's loss so early, they were missing 2 key players, and they're going to be missing their main number 1 key player in the NCAA tournament, Kevin McCullough. So, I mean, for me, it's kind of hard to pick Kansas, especially against like a healthy Gonzaga. Unfortunately, Kansas is missing their number 1 guy. It's already a tough tournament, so I feel like it's a tough pick. I'm definitely the one outgunned here, though, so I suppose we can just deal it out, and we'll stick with Kansas, and we'll move on to this number 1 Purdue, number 9 TCU. I totally mentioned this earlier, but number 9s in the round of 32 only have about a 9% chance of advancing past this round. So as much as I want to pick TCU, my heart and all, and I would love to see the upset, just the statistics are against it. The numbers say otherwise. So I definitely picked Purdue here to move on past the Horned Frogs. You guys?
Agreed.
Purdue.
Yeah, I think Purdue will.
If I get to see the update and they obliterate my bracket, I'll be so pumped. And
yeah.
And I mean, honestly, hopefully, I hope it means that TCU makes it past more than just the next round. But I would love to see that upset. So I wouldn't be that upset. All right, Purdue, Kansas. Ross?
I took Kansas.
See, the second round, he's like, I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't bother me if y'all pick Gonzaga. He's like, no, Kansas all the way.
Well, I mean, I told you.
So is Gonzaga the big
team
that you feel like Kansas has got to make it over? Do you think the Gonzaga game will be tougher for them than the Purdue game?
No, I was just talking about the situational. So I'm just as a statement of fact, I have Kansas going all the way and winning it. But I'm a fan. Right. But so this pick wasn't hard for me based on the fact that I wanted Kansas to go.
So
that I wanted Kansas to go, but with what we just talked about how Purdue kind of looked a little ugly recently, I mean, my vote's KU, but again, if you guys pick Purdue, it's not going to bother me. And just like Dan with his Purdue TCU pick, it's kind of one of those things. If I'm wrong, and Kansas loses, I mean, hey. It's not a surprise, but if Purdue loses and KU wins, I'll be super happy. So you guys, if you want to pick Purdue, go ahead. Just be ready for me to spend the entire next season just reminding you guys.
Thanks for the permission, Ross. Just for that, because I had Kansas. Now I'm going to pick Purdue because that's who I think is going to win. I actually want to hurt your feelings. No. Kansas is just hurt. I mean, they're a great team. That's why I have them making it to the Sweet 16. But I think Purdue just has a chip on their shoulder after last season because they were favorites to win it all last year. I believe they were the number 1 overall seed. Just to get upset, they're very talented. They're very they got a lot of man, I can't even think of the words right now. They've been together a lot of chemistry, a lot of experience on that team. I think it'll be a great game, but I have Purdue. Moving on.
No, I mean, I obviously picked Purdue in this one. Complete opposite of Ross here. I have, Purdue winning it all. So Purdue was obviously my pick. Now that we're down to 3, Chris had some family stuff that he had to go take care of. So, we'll miss him for the rest of the show, but glad he was here, and we'll see him next week. But we'll just carry on with finishing the bracket with the 3 of us, and chat can continue to throw their input and opinions in to kind of fill in for Chris a little bit here, I suppose. But Ross, I feel like you're outvoted here, and we're going to take the number 1 Purdue.
That's okay. Just remember, Ashton, I never teased you about Duke, and you changed your mind, so it's okay. I'll just remind you extra hard.
Was that not obvious? It was a joke.
It's not. I don't even.
I guess not, because Dan's picking Purdue.
I felt pressure just to take Kansas that far. Honestly, I didn't want to upset you, so.
I mean,
no, Kansas out in the first round. What are you going?
I mean, that I definitely agree with. I feel like it's gonna be a tough battle for Kansas. With the injuries and missing their number 1 player and everything. So Creighton, Texas. We think Texas can keep the ball rolling here. They're gonna upset Creighton.
Absolutely not. But I also didn't put Creighton this far. So I mean, I guess we'd have to go Creighton in this scenario because we were already worried about Texas and Tennessee and that pick. So now, if Creighton can beat South Carolina, which is a great team, they're pretty good. If they can beat South Carolina and then come in and play Texas, who we've talked about not being super great this year, my vote's Creighton.
Yeah, I feel like I can't pick Texas here because I had South Carolina beating Creighton and then South Carolina beating Texas.
Yeah,
so,
same.
I know that's not exactly how it works, but if Creighton can beat South Carolina, I just don't see Texas being able to go over. So I'll pick Creighton over Texas.
See, it's funny that you guys say that. I feel like I'm always this third wheel here, man. I'm always kind of playing devil's advocate over here. But I feel like
usually what we do in our text chain, we call you the third wheel.
I mean, right? I'm just trying to, I'm trying to coexist, but it's tough. It's hard. But I feel like if Texas manages to get this upset over Tennessee, I feel like they could manage to get this upset over Creighton. It would definitely be a very close game, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Creighton pull it out. So I think we can go ahead and just put Creighton here. But I'd like to think that if Texas can manage the upset against number 2 Tennessee, then following that up with beating number 3 Creighton,
now what it does is it puts us with Purdue and Creighton, and that to me isn't even really a game. Like, there's not any way that Creighton's going to take Purdue. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'd definitely like to think, Purdue continues to play with this chip on their shoulder and continue to roll through and everything. I'm not going to lie. Every time I pick Purdue to win a game, I get a little nervous. I get like some butterflies and whatever, because damn it, if Purdue's just not one of those teams that's like ready to get upset and get blown out of the bracket when you least expect it, but I'm with you, Ross. I don't see why Creighton should win this game. Purdue should keep the energy rolling and finish out the bracket and everything here. But I mean, we'll see what happens. So, all right, here's our Midwest bracket going here.
So what do we think about as we go through the other, because this is the bracket that we're kind of the most interested in, like you mentioned, right? What do we think about going through the other brackets just on a voting kind of thing?
Now there's 3 of us.
Yeah, there's 3 of us. We can nail them real quick because I'm Not
Oh,
sure if
Anna's Creighton. I'm not sure we can actually, because like I can't pull up y'all's brackets because they're not locked in yet.
no. What I mean is,
But no, we just vote on here.
yeah, we just vote. Like scroll down to the next bracket, and then we just go through each game real quick, and we put caster vote. Because if we keep it like this, we spent 45 minutes on one, thing.
We didn't.
So,
we spent 15 to 20.
oh my bad.
Yeah, it took us a
Okay.
while to get to March.
I mean, don't get me
Madness.
wrong. We can move through the other ones faster, but I figured this one would take us the longest because it's got more of the teams that we actually like know and like a little bit more.
Yeah.
Some of these other ones probably be a little bit easier here. So I mean, but I mean, we can just try and fly through these a little bit faster and everything. Honestly, trying to like wait for viewers to vote on it and everything would probably take just as long, if not longer. So, but we can get through this with a little less discussion. That's fine. Number 1, North Carolina, 16, Wagner. Anybody looking for an upset here?
Nope.
No,
North Carolina.
I didn't think so. These 8-9 matchups, I'm always a big fan of because I don't really think it can be like an upset when you're ranked so close together. When you have like a 5-6, 8-9 type matchup.
Mhm.
But anybody got an opinion here? Kick us off.
I went Michigan State.
That feels right.
Michigan State. I'm not gonna lie, I picked Mississippi here just because I'm from Michigan. I got family in Michigan, and I'm definitely a blue fan, not a Michigan State fan. So I let fandom dictate me here a little bit, and so I didn't pick them. But I don't think Michigan State is a bad pick here. Number 5, St. Mary's. Number 12, Grand Canyon. I went St. Mary's here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any crazy reason to expect Grand Canyon to upset too much here. So kind of just keep it rolling here. Alabama, Charleston. Anybody looking for a crazy upset here either?
No.
Bama all the way.
Bama.
Really? I definitely picked Charleston. I just decided to go against Bama for like no real reason here. It felt good when I did it. So
Yeah.
But Bama should totally actually win this game. Clemson, New Mexico. I'm going to keep mentioning it.
So
Are we
picking Charleston or are we picking Alabama?
No, I put Charleston on there.
Okay.
Number 6, Clemson. Number 11, New Mexico. I'm going to keep mentioning it. Number 11 is the favorite upset.
New Mexico
matchups. So yeah, I took New Mexico over Clemson for this.
I went Clemson there, but that's all right. Let's see.
I like taking
Baylor
the 11
over Colgate
upsets. Baylor over Colgate. This one I also
Baylor.
picked the upset. I took Colgate, but there's no real reason for it. As a TCU Big 12, fan, whatever. I was just rooting against Baylor here. Dayton and Nevada, 7 and 10. These I like these close matchups here too. I took the upset with number 10 Nevada.
I got Dayton.
I got Nevada.
All right, let's take that upset then. Let's make it an upset. Number 2, Arizona, 15, Long Beach. We're not looking for an upset here, right?
Zona.
Yeah.
Taking it. Zona versus Nevada.
Zona again.
Yeah, take Zona again. That's what I'm saying. New Mexico and Baylor.
Baylor.
Really? You got Baylor? I feel like I would have taken New Mexico here. I got New Mexico to beat Colgate in mind, but that's actually a matchup of upsets right there on my bracket. Number 5, St. Mary's. Number 13, Charleston.
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. Some of these just feel like they like just go with the numbers here. You know what I mean? Carolina and Michigan. Anna's saying Michigan. Anna says Michigan against North Carolina.
I'll pick North Carolina. I think that'd be a great matchup.
I think this is going to be a really good game, but I think it's going to be UNC as well.
I'm going to go with Anna and say Michigan State, but
man.
I actually in my bracket picked North Carolina, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking Michigan. I like Anna. She's probably knows what's up.
I mean, well, now we're split 2-2, like where are we?
We need one more vote from the chat.
I guess, right? Man, if I had some of my dice or a coin or something closer by, I'd say we just flip it and whatever.
I'll flip a card. What's North Carolina heads, Michigan State tails?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Let the fates decide.
Be tails.
Tails. When we said it was Michigan State, yeah. All right, we're gonna.
Hey, Anna, we got
this. There, that's fine.
You got this, Anna. We got this.
Anna says
So
Bama and then New Mexico. I'm trying to understand where you're at now. What are we rooting for now, Anna? I was just
It's too late. You have to
we
vote
should-
while we're talking about it.
well, we are going pretty fast.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to talk about this one, Anna? All right, Baylor, Arizona. Well, I mean, Ross, you were like yelling at me about going too slow. You were like, "Oh, you spent
No, you're right.
45
No,
minutes."
I was just saying the chat's trying to keep up. That's the only thing.
No,
Arizona
I'm
will
just
probably
messing with
take
you.
Baylor.
It's been a
I have Arizona as well.
Yeah, I got Arizona winning this one. I haven't played New Mexico, but I have Arizona winning this one. And then, all right, Anna, who's going to win Michigan State and St. Mary's? Let me know who's winning this 9-5 matchup. I'd like to think Michigan on another upset here, but
I'm going to go against what I said earlier about the Texas Creighton South Carolina deal because I have North Carolina beating Michigan State and then beating St. Mary's. But in this case, I'll take St. Mary's over Michigan State.
See, I
just reversed my logic.
I would probably in this case, because I also did the same. I had North Carolina beating Michigan and beating St. Mary's, but I think I'd probably go Michigan on this one.
I definitely had North Carolina beating St. Mary's here.
Should we just switch it then, or should we stick with the fate? Because I think all of us think North Carolina would beat Michigan. But I went with Anna because
you're the one that changed your vote. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I feel like you threw your weight around on this vote, and you were like, for the viewers, and I anything for the viewers. You know what I'm saying?
You
like,
can't go back in time and pretend the card flip didn't happen.
Also true.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So we're going Michigan State here.
All right, we're gonna ride this upset. It sounds good to me. Number 9, Michigan State. Number 2, Arizona. I feel like we're all saying Zona here.
Yeah, I had Arizona beating North Carolina. I'd have them beating St. Mary's. I'd have them beating Michigan State.
Yeah. Ross?
Yeah.
Any
Arizona.
objections?
Nope.
All right. The people have spoken. All right. Halfway through. Halfway. All right, let's get this East going. UConn. They're actually the favorites to repeat a national championship, which hasn't actually been done since 2007. Villanova? Florida.
Didn't Villanova went to 2 back-to-back, but they only won 1.
Yeah, the Gators were the last one to actually win back-to-back. I think it was 07 or something.
I'll just go ahead and say I have UConn going to the Final Four, beating everybody because they were favored. The easiest bracket to me, anyways. The easiest region.
Probably, yeah. I agree.
They got a cakewalk to the Final Four, honestly. But
this FAU Northwestern 8-9. 9's
Northwestern
the favorite for this
one. Yeah,
Northwestern.
But, I think FAU is just kind of there because they made the Final Four last year. I think they're kind of still hyped up.
I'm not gonna lie, I have FAU to win this one, and then
you, man.
I have FAU to upset UConn in the next round. So
all right, I'm gonna go there. If you know what you're doing.
Apparently, we got the vote for St. Mary's pretty late, but there is a vote for St. Mary's to beat Michigan State.
Did we have Did anybody have St. Mary's beating Arizona though?
I don't think so.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll take St. Mary's. It was St. Mary's, Arizona, and then Arizona beating St. Mary's. We'll
make the one switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but definitely Northwestern over FAU.
We owe it to the interactive fan.
You've been outvoted.
All right, so what are we doing here? FAU or Northwestern? I think both of y'all said Northwestern. Yeah. Okay. We'll just run with that. That's fine. This 5-12 matchup: San Diego State versus UAB.
UAB.
Diego.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I have San Diego for this one too. I don't expect UAB to make an upset here. Ashton looking for that 12 over 5 though. Like, all right.
That's my 12-5.
Oh, that was your 12-5. Okay.
Update. Anna is the teacher that's going to have her class do it, just so we all know.
I caught that in the chat.
Okay. Auburn.
Yeah, I'm thinking Auburn over books.
Yeah, Auburn.
Okay. BYU Duquesne.
BYU.
I took Duquesne
BYU.
here. I took the 11. I definitely took the 11 here. Duquesne.
You can't take all the 11s.
Yeah,
I mean, I
dude.
feel like I took 3 of the 4 11s, to be honest.
Okay.
But you know, I like to live life dangerously, living on the edge. Illinois over Moorhead. That should be a pretty
Yep,
easy
Illinois.
pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Washington State versus Drake. These 7-10 matchups I also really enjoy, though. Like I just really enjoy when the rankings are real close like this. It usually gives you a
Washington
indication you're gonna have a
State.
good one. Yeah, I also have Washington State here. Ross, good pick.
This is Washington State. Yeah.
Washington State. All right, and then Iowa State over South Dakota. I don't think anybody's expecting an upset here. Ones and twos are usually pretty safe picks to win the first round, although obviously not guaranteed.
UConn.
Working from the bottom up here. Iowa State versus Washington.
Iowa State.
Yeah.
Iowa State. I actually picked Washington here. I think it's really funny. Honestly, you know what this is telling me? As the brackets go and everything, either my bracket's gonna be really, really good or it's gonna be really, really bad, like compared to everyone else. Like,
well, I mean, that's what you want. You want some diversity. You want some diversity against us.
For sure. I'm definitely gonna have all the right.
That's how you make up your points.
BYU and Illinois in this 3-6.
Illinois.
I take both of them. San Diego State, Auburn.
I put Auburn.
I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I had UAB over San Diego anyways, but Auburn's going to win.
Auburn. I also had this one. Man, we don't have too many where the three of us all agree, but that one right there. Auburn taking that one. And then UConn over Northwestern.
UConn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Y'all are taking UConn. I actually had FAU winning and then upsetting UConn here.
Yeah.
So
That's
I had
UConn decision.
UConn losing here. I mean,
you say that, then it's going to be UAB versus FAU in the Sweet 16.
Right, it's me. It'll get crazy. All right, UConn versus Auburn.
UConn.
Yep.
UConn. All right. I have Auburn winning this one, but that's because they're playing FAU in my bracket. Illinois, both of them, or Iowa State.
Illinois.
Illinois.
All right, Illinois.
That's and then UConn beats Illinois.
UConn and then UConn over Illinois.
My bracket here, I actually have Illinois over Auburn. So there she is. 3 of our final 4. UConn, Arizona, and Purdue. Let's get this last one rocked out and we can call it a night and give all of our love and thanks to everybody involved with the bracket pick tonight. So starting from the top here, just trying to make it as quick as possible. Ross is, done with us. Houston, Longwood.
Houston.
Taking Houston. Yeah, no upsets here. 8-9, Nebraska, Texas A&M.
A&M.
I hate rooting for A&M. I definitely picked Nebraska here, but fine. Number 5, Wisconsin. Number 12, James Madison.
I guess I had 2 12s.
Oh wow!
I put Wisconsin.
I took Wisconsin.
I think they're a lot closer match than their 12-5 seed show, but yeah, it's gonna be a close game. I feel
that one will be a good one to actually watch. But anyway, number 4, Duke. Number 13, Vermont.
Duke.
Go ahead, Ashton.
Duke. This is the only one. I mean, I still feel kind of weird about it because I don't think Duke is the powerhouse that they feel like. I mean, that most people feel, but I think they win pretty handily.
Yeah, I picked Duke to win this one too. It's the next round.
It's going to be rough for Duke.
I have them. Texas Tech, number 6. NC State, number 11. I'm going to mention it. These number 11s. I like the upsets.
I like NC State there.
Yeah, I took NC State as well. But I like these upsets, man. 11s over 6s.
Mm-hmm.
They got the record. All right, number 3, Kentucky, and Oakland, number 14.
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Mhm.
I feel like that's a pretty easy pick. Kentucky should steamroll that pretty well. We got Florida, and then it's Colorado, Boise. To be honest, I'm
Florida.
not sure why.
Florida.
But y'all took Florida. I'm not gonna lie, I just rooted against Florida on this one, not even knowing who the opponent was going to be. But Florida's probably the right pick here, to be honest. And then the Marquette, number 2, Western Kentucky. Any upset issues here?
No, we got
Nah,
Marquette.
No. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything there. All right, number 2, Marquette against Florida's number 7.
I actually put Florida here.
Marquette for me.
I've already got Florida out, so I went Marquette as well.
Okay.
Kentucky, number
Kentucky.
3, NC State.
Yeah, Kentucky.
Yes, Kentucky.
Kentucky's probably the right pick. I picked the upset here with NC State in my personal bracket, but I think Kentucky's definitely the right pick here. Duke, number 4, Wisconsin, number 5. Great matchup here, 4-5. I think this could be either team's
I'm taking Duke. I had them beating James Madison in the second round anyway.
I'm taking Duke.
But I think it's going to be a close game.
Ross also taking Duke. I actually have Wisconsin winning this one, but I agree. I think this is going to be a really
hate
close
for me.
game.
That's it.
I mean, I like to be consistent, if nothing else.
That's true. You've been very consistent.
I'm just messing with you. It's nothing but love from over here. Number 1, Houston versus number 9, Texas A&M.
Houston.
I hate both of these teams. Can they both lose? Like what? How do we make that happen?
Pick Duke in the next round.
There you go. I like that.
I have Houston.
Ross?
Yeah, Houston as well.
Okay. Houston, honestly, it's probably the right one to pick. And I always feel real weird trying to root for A&M anyway. So take that number 1 seed, Houston. All right. Let's actually start from this one down here. I think Houston Duke is a bit more of a conversation. Kentucky, number 3, Marquette, number 2. To be honest, we've got the 4 teams that are supposed to be here.
Marquette.
All right.
I'm gonna take Kentucky in this one.
Man, this is going to be a really tough one. Honestly, these 4 matches, Houston, Duke, Kentucky, Marquette, great matchups. I think they'll be great games and probably a lot closer than we expect them to be. I think I'm going to take Kentucky here too. Marquette really will. I think they're the team to beat in this game, but I think it'll be Kentucky coming out on top. Number 1, Houston. Number 4, Duke. Ashton?
Houston. I'll take Houston. This is where Duke falls.
Nah.
Okay. All right. I mean, I have Duke falling to Wisconsin the round before.
Yes, we know.
You're so hurt about it,
Nah,
like
I'm
you're just so
kidding.
set.
Well, if you're going to be consistent, I have to be.
I mean, that's fair.
Can't just lie down and take it.
I think just like the Kentucky Marquette game, this one will be real close. But I guess I'm gonna go with the numbers. I'm gonna take Houston here. Kyle agrees. So I'm taking Houston. And then all right, our last Final Four pick: Houston, Kentucky, number 1, number 3.
Kentucky.
Houston.
Oh, all right. Show your work a little bit. Anybody got any particular reason you like red better? Just
I didn't have Kentucky going this far anyway, so why would I have them beating Houston?
Yeah, I had Kentucky and Duke playing in this game, and Duke beating Kentucky. But I think if it's Houston and Kentucky, I'd take Kentucky.
I mean, I didn't have either one of these guys making it even to the round before. So I think if I'm really looking at it for the sake of like argument and hopes and dreams and everything,
Hannah's
I'm gonna
taking
take
Houston too.
I'm gonna take Houston here, just for the 1v1 matchup here.
Yeah, go with Anna on that one. She's probably right.
I'm just gonna put this out there that we just picked the same Final Four that I picked, so it kind of gives me a little bit of confidence.
Oh wow! All right,
that's my Final Four pick. So
I'm just saying, basketball Nostradamus here, I guess.
And so
it's a safe pick. So.
I mean,
Yeah, I had UConn, Arizona, but then I had Duke and KU instead of Purdue and Houston.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Maybe
I
you're
only
right, Dan. I
have
just had a safe pick.
I only have Purdue out of these four in my final four. So
not even
definitely a
Arizona.
very different bracket for me. No, yeah, I have Illinois, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Purdue, and I have
Man, what a
UNC
Final
and
Four.
Purdue.
What
I
a
have
Final
UNC
Four.
and Purdue for the final game. So just looking at what we got here, UConn, Arizona. Who's going to take it? UConn.
UConn.
Yeah, I was gonna go UConn
Looking
there,
for that
but Arizona.
repeat. Looking for that repeat. You think they're going to repeat win? You think they
Nah,
run it back?
no, because like I said, it'll be KU over here, and then KU will be Duke, and then it'll be Duke. It'll be KU and UConn.
Okay.
But
All right, and
I
this
mean,
Houston Purdue matchup.
that's kind of like earlier. Like to me, there's just no way that a team like that's going to beat Purdue. So I'd go Purdue here.
Houston.
Ugh.
Man, this is going to be a really, really tough one.
What is with the gagging, Ross? Come on, man.
I'm just saying, man.
I'm not a Houston fan. I'm just trying to let my bias not. I mean, they beat Duke. I'm picking them to beat Duke.
Yeah, but
as much as I kind of hate to admit it, if it comes down to this matchup, Houston Purdue,
I
think it's Houston. I think Houston wins this game over Purdue. If Purdue gets down and has to play like a team of this caliber, like Houston, although I will say this actually, I was watching the Big 12 tournament and TCU lost that game to Houston. Their scoring was atrocious. They scored 15 points in the first half, took them over 9.5 minutes to score their first bucket. Super embarrassing. But Houston like actually struggled a bit on offense. TCU like really put it to them defensively. TCU's biggest issue in that game was the fact that they couldn't score. I think they shot like 23%. So I mean, they couldn't put points on the board, which makes me worry a little bit about Houston. But I'm also willing to say that like, Houston was up by like 20 for most of that game. You don't need to score a ton. You don't need to play super aggressively to come out with the victory in that game. You know what I'm saying?
Well, just a few days ago, they lost 69-41 against Iowa State. So,
well, I mean,
we all
that's
have
what I'm
them
saying,
in like the Elite Eight, right?
Yeah, I think so. No, maybe I don't.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I have
against
them losing in the round of 32, actually. But
Ross, you have UConn over Houston?
Yeah.
Give me the Cougars. It's all on you, Dan. It's all on you. Who is going to be the national champion?
I think in this particular situation, I'm a root for the repeat. I'm a root for a repeat. I haven't seen it in a long time. UConn working hard. They are the number one kind of coming into the whole thing. Yeah. So favorite scores? My loser always gets 69.
I had it close, like a one possession, maybe like 72-69, something like that.
I think the average total score is like something like 140 to 150 or something like that. So I mean, this feels like it's right on par for that anyway. So I kind of agree with this type score anyway. Plus, I'm 12 years old. I like to put 69 on things. So
that's true.
All right. Well, I think this is going to make the end of this bracket here, and go ahead and congratulate everybody on a well done group team bracket. It definitely took us about 45 minutes. We definitely could have taken longer to do it. But to be honest, I anticipated the bracket being kind of the longest part of doing this whole thing. And I had a handful of things that, I just kind of wanted to shoot the shit with and talk about different picking strategies and, sports and whatever, but I'm sorry if I took up too much of your time there, Ross. I just love you.
No, it's
I'm sorry I annoyed you with my friendship.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just messing with you.
do we want to vote Ross off the show now? No, I mean,
Right? Yeah, 2 weeks
I'm
was
just
enough.
kidding. Whoa!
Oh man, was that? Oh
Did you click him off or did he just leave?
no, I don't know what happened. I hope his phone
You bring him
didn't
back
die
in,
or-
right? Is he in the back?
Oh,
Is he
yeah, well,
backstage?
he's not in here. He dropped out. So now I feel kind of bad.
Hey, old Ross, we were just messing around, man.
Yeah, right.
Come
It was a
on.
joke. Please don't be like that.
Okay,
All
okay.
right, well, I
Mark,
guess
that's good.
we'll just go ahead and close it out then. I guess
Yep.
for me and Ashton. I guess since Chris and Ross decided to leave us a little bit early.
Yeah.
It's been a fun week. I enjoy talking about March Madness and the kickoff of all the sports to come over the next few
Yeah.
weeks. I'm excited for all the topics that we got
Next
coming
week
that
we'll be
able to
talking
talk
Sweet
about.
16 and Elite 8. So
Oh yeah, plus
fun.
baseball opening day.
Yeah.
So lots of good, awesome stuff for us to talk about, but plenty of fun to be had. Feel free to join us again live next week, Wednesday, 9 p.m. We'll do it all again. In the meantime, I'm Dan Boyer, aka Neon Super Shrimp. Ashton Nix over here on this side of me. And we'll see you guys next week on the sports page. Thanks a lot.
see you guys.
Oh, taking me a second. I couldn't find the music to play,
Yeah, you can't go off without music.
I know, right? Just
It's a nice place to go off into the sunset.
yeah.
It's almost midnight.
I just want
so
people to feel good about the end of the show, just as we fade out.
they got to feel good. They got to feel good that we're done. It's
Right.
over. The torture's over.
Right? I mean, it was a long show. It was a good one.
Ross didn't feel that way. I don't think he was.